Okay, so welcome to this first real video in the series where we will be using Dragonfly. This series is based on the workshop held in Grenoble in France. So this first demo is, first video is based on data from a micro CT scan of a Lego figurine. This data was provided by Tanya Shikora from the Echelon Academy. Thank you very much for that. So I'm just going to start right from the basics, and we're going to start. This is the Dragonfly workspace. I've loaded up Dragonfly version 22.1, and this is what the workspace looks like when you open that up the first time. So all these panels on the left and right can be optimized to your own preference. You can also you can change the order of them. You open up some and close some, put some at the top in where there's none at the moment at the top of the window. I'm going to start from the basics and start loading up some data. So you go under File, Import Image Files to load an image stack, as we are going to do at the moment. While I'm at this point, I can just explain that we work in Dragonfly using sessions. So you can load multiple data sets and images and meshes and regions of interest. Everything that all your work can be saved as a session file. That is a single file, including all the data. Makes it quite nice to share with your colleagues or open up that quite easily again in the future. Similarly, you can save one or more of those objects as an object file. That's quite useful if you want to separate things and you want to load separate objects. Either of those can be loaded to a session, and you can also import meshes, of course, and there's some other things. Importing image files is the main one used to load image data, which can come from any imaging modality. It can be an image stack, it can be a micro CT scan from a commercial vendor. For example, we load typical like Echelon and Zeiss formats, for example, also VGI format and many other formats. We simply code the header information, and if your format doesn't work, let us know, we can just include it. In this case, we're going to import a stack, a 40 micron image stack. Basically, you highlight all images and open, and you can also basically I have resampled this in Dragonfly from the original scan data to make it more manageable. I'm going to call it Lego Man, and you don't need to give it a name. I'm just calling it Lego Man there. What we need to do is we need to give it an image spacing, because the image stack does not know what the voxel size is. So this is 0.04, and this is the same in all three axes, so it's isotropic. So what we can do, just to explain, if you have quite big data, you can downsample, for example, taking every second pixel in X, Y, and Z, or every second voxel. That in this case would downsample from 3.3 gigs to 800 megabytes. We don't need to do that today. I was just showing you that. We can also crop on import. This is this button here. You don't need to do it, but if you want to downsample, this is how it works. The cropping tool, by scrolling or dragging this bottom slider, you can see the bottom slider is like equivalent to the output from the cropper. So you can crop in X and Y like this, and what you have to do is, once you cropped it, or what you should do is slide further and see that it's not going off outside the cropping. So at the bottom, this is fine. I'm okay with that, but I don't want to lose that part there. So let's just crop a bit less over there. Now this is in X and Y, but in Z, we see that along the Z axis, these last few images have no data. So we can crop that part as well. So we just move right up to where the data starts and drag this little slider. So I'll demonstrate again on the other side. So we move to where the data starts, and all of these images are not useful. So we crop like this by dragging the top Z slider. And now we have as output this, which is having less slices. So if you do that, now we have 1.8 gigs. So it's roughly half the data just by cropping. So we're going to import those images. And what we have then, it was saying about it's a color channel. We don't care about that. This is where the data set, this is the object, or this is called an image channel. So we can put the image channel, we can visualize it on and off. If you have multiple things, you can usually visualize the one that is on the top of a list. So the most recent one would move to the top of the list. And you can also visualize in 3D, put the 3D visualization on and off there. So that actually is not functionable here because there's no 3D view at the moment. Let's put a 3D view on. At the moment, we're having a single slice view, so we can scroll through the images like this, or by clicking and dragging there, you can scroll through the images like this, and actually you can find something interesting, like inside of that piece of Lego, there's a bit of a pore space. So what we want to do here is view in 3D. So let's move to the quad view. So with the quad view now, as you saw, I put the 3D view off. Let's put it on again. Now we see a 3D view here. By left click and drag, you can turn that. And we can see if you want to do a contrasting, at the moment we're seeing air pixels. So by clicking there and dragging down, left click and drag, you can change the contrasting or the Windows leveling. So the way to also, that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is using actually the Windows leveling tab. So you see the actual data, it's the histogram of the data there. So what you can do is you can drag that to the right, or drag the, by moving this, left click and drag this, you move the histogram. By moving this inside this contrast area, you change the contrasting. By making it narrower, you get a sharper contrast, and you can also change with the gamma to within that. So that is okay for now. I'm not going to go into visualization of a Lego man. We'll look at visualization again later. Right now, I wanted to start with the first panel, the manipulate tools. So as I said before in the introductory video, some shortcuts are left and right mouse button and drag to move around the object in any window. So it's important to realize that the window that is active has a colored line around it. And the reason that's important is that any function, especially visualization functions, are only 2D and 3D separated. So if you're dragging this, you're not dragging in 3D. If you're dragging there, you're not dragging in 2D. And you're not changing the contrast in 2D like this. But if you're on the 3D window, you can do a similar thing. And we can do that and optimize the contrast there. Let's talk about optimizing the contrast in the 2D window. Oh, by the way, I double clicked in the 2D window to maximize it. What we can do here, it's got a separate thing. So we're going to use rather, the default is this. We can rather change to an opacity gradient. And what we can do is do that and drag it around to optimize the contrast. So let's see. There we can see something interesting, which we might have missed if the contrast was not good enough. There's an inclusion there. So that's it for now. I think I just wanted to show I actually wanted to show the manipulate tools. So I was dragging around with the mouse shortcut, but you can also click on this panning tool, and this is active continuously. And when you're in any other mode and you want to get back to default mode, you press the escape button on the keyboard. So It's also useful if you want to take an image on a 2D panel and you don't want these crosshairs in the field of view. You can either take it away like this, or what I did was I took the mouse to the middle there and took it away, and then I could put such a panning function and then make a right click and export screenshot of view. So while I'm there, I'm just going to do an export. We can change the screenshot size, but we can save that as any different format. We can call it we can save as TIFF, bitmap, JPEG, and so on. But what I wanted to show is escape, and now these crosshairs. Let me explain the crosshairs a little bit. So let's say we're interested in this little, and by the way, zooming is mouse button and scroll and drag. So the scroll mouse button depressed and dragging. And in this case, I don't like the contrast that much. I'd like to see slightly different contrast here. And there we're seeing a bit of a pore space. And what we can do now is put this crosshair in the middle there. So you drag the crosshair to the middle of that feature, and now it's focused in all three cross-sectional views. What you can also do in 3D is show 2D view planes. So if we're doing that, if we're scrolling there, we can see the view plane, and we can see this view plane and this view plane. So these are the views that we are having at the moment. So if we'd like to make a picture of this, we'd probably want to turn it a little bit. So the easiest way to do that is with this flip rotate tools. So you can turn it like this slightly. You can now also flip it horizontally. So you can turn the thing to face towards the right, or you can turn it like this to face upright. So these are flip and rotate tools of the camera. So it's not turning the data at all. It's just very simple, very fast ways of getting a nice angle. If we do that, we're seeing the data in all views. And if you're now losing anything like that, you can go back to the original view and reset things. At the moment, things are slightly invisible there because of this strange contrast. So while I'm there, I can show you this area contrasting box. So you drag it across an area of interest to get a good contrast across that area. So that's, if you want a good contrast on the background, you drag the box in the background, good contrast on the Lego plastic, this one, or this one, or a combination of everything, or just the high density plastic, or there's different ways of doing that. Okay, so we're in the contrasting functionality, as you see with the icon there. So we have to press the escape key to get back. All right, so that is the panning and the, what is this? What else can I show you here? Zooming is not only with a mouse button, you can also do it with this button here and escape to get out of that mode. There's different, oh, by the way, let me first explain this. So let's say we're interested in viewing along the Lego man plane here. What we need to do is we need to click there to see this little triangle, and by dragging that out like this, the pink plane will be along the Lego man body and head plane, which is now this plane here, which is indicated by this little pink color at the top. So let's say, for example, we want to use that, but we want to turn it upright. So now we can use the flip rotate tool and turn it upright like that. We can also turn it upside down or left right like this. So these are some of the quick manipulation tools. So these crosshairs are useful for getting oblique views relative to the coordinate axis. What I can also demonstrate at this point is you might often want to rotate your object with so that the z-axis, for example, is following the direction of the Lego man head. At the moment, it was scanned like this in the axis of this toothpick or stick stuck in the leg. So this is the z-axis here, as you see with this purple. Or actually, no, that's the y-axis. The z-axis is actually along the green, along the in the view here. So let's say we want to rotate this object. What we need to do is we need to go to the translate rotate tools. And what we can see, what is the z-axis is, this is the z-axis, because you see there plus z minus z. And there we see x, and there we see the z-axis as well. So if we want the head to be following the positive z-axis, we need to turn it like this. What I did is I took this little rotation icon and turned it after activating the translate rotate tool. And what we have now is in this plane, the Lego man along the right correct axis. What we need to do is make sure it's correct along other planes. So at the moment, it seems like he's reasonably well aligned, because this is the positive z-axis here. And I think that's it, actually. So if we turn this guy upright, you see z-axis is now upright. So that's how you orientate your data along X, Y, and Z axis in a simple way. You can also use this translate rotate tools to align different objects manually. So let me just activate it again. This is how you move it like this. So let me demonstrate that briefly. If I make a copy of this data, so I copy the object. Let's say I'm making the second one, I'm also making it visible. Let's say I click there and I make it a different amber color like that. If I, whoops, I shouldn't have escaped. I should have kept it that color. Okay, now what we can do is we can make this opaque, and we can make this guy also opaque. So we have two data sets there. Now, if one is on top of the other one, let's say we scanned two objects. Now you can turn it like this, and we can move it closer together, and we can optimize the alignment a bit manually. And then you can also do an image registration. I don't know if I should do that here. It's maybe a bit advanced, but you can do a image registration. Let's see, where's that? Yeah, let's just try it. Should be working fine. So we want to have the fixed image, the Lego man, and the mobile image Lego man, this one. So we want to move it, translate it, and rotate it slightly. And linear interpolation is fine. Apply. Let's see how that works. So that's for aligning. I mean, in most cases, manual alignment will be good enough, but if you want to really get a perfect alignment, you can take your manual alignment and then refine it further using this tool. So let me see what I need to just demonstrate a little bit Windows leveling a little bit more and some other shortcuts. And I've already demonstrated flip rotate. adding color. I need to spend more time on that. And data properties I need to demonstrate. So not very much longer in this video. Let's see how long this registration will take. Maybe while it's going, I can show you here, when you click on any image channel or any object really, it gives you a basic properties information just below it here. The width of the entire height and depth of the entire data set, the number of voxels in total, and the data type and size. So there's also then visualization, and a very important part here is the clipping box. So the entire data set, if you click on this button here, you get a clipping box on the outside of the data set, which you can use to cut away certain parts of the data for visualization, for clipping and cropping. Clipping is for visualization, and cropping is physically to crop away data and make a smaller data set. So we can use that clipping box to crop the data as well. You can also use other tools to crop data. For example, shape tools, which I think I need to show. But if I don't show it in this video, I will definitely show it in one of the next ones. So this image registration is taking some time. It was not part of my plan really to demonstrate that, but let's cancel that. That's where you find that function, and you have some control over how fine you want to do that registration with. So let's cancel that. Oh, actually, even when I canceled, it was improving slightly. So, okay, that's nice. So let's put off the second Lego man that I created. We're only interested in one. What I need to do is, I wanted in this first video to go through all the basic tools here. This little button here is a pivot point. So if you change your pivot point, that changes how, around, let's see. Let's say we want to make the top of the head the pivot point, like that. Right? Let's see. If I'm not turning this thing, it's turning around the top of the head. And if I make the pivot point the middle of the Lego man like that, now it's turning around the middle. So these are some shortcut methods to easy ways to manipulate the data. This is a fit in view. So if you get this guy, if you have nothing anymore there, you can fit him to the view. Or if you've zoomed in or out very far and you don't want to keep doing this, what I'm doing now with the mouse, you can just click this button. If you've lost the contrasting and everything like that, you can just reset things. Oh, actually, that's not resetting the contrast. For resetting the contrast, it's this reset button here, and that resets the basic contrast. So now the Lego man is upside down here. So let's recap, flip him upwards and flip this guy upwards, and this guy we can turn slightly like this, just for having the Lego man not feel disorientated in space. Right, so this is where the contrasting takes place, and the important thing is that you understand that the 2D and 3D contrasting and rendering settings are separated. And although the 3D rendering tools are possible on the left, the main functionality is on the right under the 3D presets here, and changing these settings here. So you can use both, but the main one, it's quite useful to use some of these preset tools like this. So this is quite nice. Obviously, it's still affected by the this gradient that you select on the histogram. The gamma is quite a nice function. And what you can do, if you want to make a nice 3D visual, you can maximize the quality and select anti-aliasing. And you can also change the background using this button. So this is under Scenes View Properties. So you can make a uniform white background, for example, which looks like that, or you can make a gradient, which is having like that. So there's different ways of visualizing. You can then, let's go through the Scenes View Properties while I'm here. At the moment, you're having a perspective view. If you want to, so at the moment, if you look at this Lego man from the side, it's not a good example really, but let's say if you're doing that, you're not seeing, it's viewing in a cone angle basically. But if you're doing an orthographic projection, it's viewing exactly parallel. So this is a way to check if features are following each other in space or aligned in a certain direction. All right, so we've got these lighting tools here as well. Oh, maybe I should just go through these first. There's a scale bar, which is only visible when you have orthographic projection in 3D. When it's not orthographic, there's no scale bar in 3D, because it doesn't make sense. If you double click on the view and you go in 2D, you've also got the scale bar there. And if you're, by the way, the scale bar can be moved around like this, and also any legend can be moved around like this. By the way, also this legend at the moment is giving us a grayscale contrast. If you're clicking somewhere else, it disappears. So that's the easy way of toggling it on and off. The other way of toggling it on and off is to click on the Show Legends button under Scenes View Properties, and you can move the scale bar now to this location here. We can also put these text annotations off, maybe when you're ready to start making images or an image stack. Let's say, for example, we are interested in making an image stack of the, actually what I would like to do is I would like to turn this, and I would like to turn this. So this is quite a nice view for me. I would like to make a slice video, like a stack video of this angle of the Lego man from front to the back. So let's do that. Let's demonstrate that with, I don't want any opacity anymore. I want it maximized. I mean, I don't want it half transparent. And what we can do is we can go down, where is it? 2D animation. So we want to start at a certain slice. Now I don't see the slice numbers, so it's quite useful to have these text annotations. I want to start the video, let's say at this point here, which is at slice 142, and we want to stop the video at slice 694. So let's see, 142 to 694, and frames per second is giving us now 33 seconds for the video. Let's make it 25 frames per second and record. And this is now a Lego video. So let's see how that turns out. Okay, so actually I've saved it. I can also just click on the play button to preview it before saving. This is what the video is going to look like. I'm not going to go and find it now, just to demonstrate how to make a slice video like that. You could have put this, I should have put these text annotations off before making the slice video, but it's actually quite nice to have it there, because if you're sending this to someone, they might want to tell you, look, in slice 605, there's something interesting, for example. And you could also put the crosshairs away using another track state, another state of the, using, for example, the panning state. All right, let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to show you. I think I've covered everything. We've got a lot to do in the other videos, so I don't want to make this one too long. That's basically it. Let's stop at that point. All right.